Welcome back, everyone. We are ready to begin and put the roof over this corridor parapet. And to do this, we are going to, again, not follow the textbook exactly, but we do want to follow the basic workflow. And the basic workflow is going to highlight that this is a roof that Revit can't solve mathematically. So be prepared for some errors and some difficulties, but it is really good to work through. So of course the first step is we are going to change these walls to wall without a parapet on top. And of course I need to rant on actually Rob, not the textbook this time, because as it turns out on page 319, the first thing the textbook tells us to do for this particular roof is shows us very clearly how to remove the parapet from the top of the walls. So yeah, my bad about ranting on the textbook in one of the earlier sections, because the textbook absolutely does tell us how to take the parapet off. So I have my 6 walls selected. I come down and say I want my walls without a parapet. They don't have one, and the textbook's going to ask me to navigate to level 3. So what I'm going to do is go look at my south elevation and see if it makes sense to put a roof on level 3. So here's the top of my wall. It's on this level. If I come to the far right and see what it is level 3. So perfect. I'm going to be using this 3D view, and I will then in my project browser activate level 3. Remember, yours may not be named the same, so you need to find your level that's 20 feet up and then activate that view. And you also want to adjust the view range. There's a high probability that if I first activate this view, that these corridor walls wouldn't show up. So I adjusted my view range to 5 feet down, and of course then the walls show up. I click OK, and I'm ready to start using this roof command. So one of the things that I want to highlight is that each of these pairs of walls wants to be the same distance apart. It's not so crucial exactly what that distance is, but it is pretty important that they're the same distance. So here I get a 28 feet 11 inches. If I move around here, I get 28 feet 11 inches, and look at one more area and 28.11. What's important to think about is when I dimensioned these, right? And I dimensioned because I can't remember those 3 numbers for the 30 seconds it takes to remember them. So I created a dimension. And I also want to know down to the 1/256 of an inch that they're correct. So if I look at this particular diagonal 3/32 text above type, I knew it hadn't been used in my project, so I look and edit the type, and I come down and I change my units format in this particular dimension by unchecking project settings and setting my precision to a 256 of an inch. Okay, so you want to take a minute here and make sure that your walls are equidistant apart, and probably pause this video, move your walls so that they are equidistant, and then restart and we can come back and keep moving forward. So we want to be able to put a roof on these 3 walls coming over to the east and to the west wings of the building. So of course, Architecture tab, Roof by Footprint, and the textbook wants us to choose walls. I'm going to have Define Slope on with an overhang of 1 foot. And I'm going to go ahead and tab this and get all 3 walls. Tab the bottom, get all 3 walls. Turn my slope off, and I'm just going to draw some random lines here. And notice I'm intentionally staying away from anything important. And now, if I simply zoom in a little bit, I can take this line and I can drag it so that it kind of snaps right to the exterior wall. Turns out it's kind of a nice tool. And I'll trim this to a corner as well as the lower edge. I see I have an extra magenta line here that I will delete and drag this line over to the exterior of the wall. For me, it's just a little bit easier maybe to, I don't know, to drag a wall into place, or a line, I should say, a line into place than it is to draw it with the correct snaps. So I'm done. So the textbook does not ask us to do anything with the slope, which means that we should leave it at the default 912. And of course, those 6 walls already are, and I'll hit my green check, and I get this error message. Can't make a footprint roof. So, and the issue that's going on here is that Revit can't do the math to figure out a 912 slope peaked in the middle and what that edge looks like. It's going to create some kind of major jog, and it's going to create some kind of major jog on this end, and then sometimes this, you may get a roof, and this peak in the middle then turns this whole roof into a disaster. So obviously I've drawn around my walls in a way that somehow I'm getting an error and I can't even get a roof. So so how do we fix that? What I'm going to do is create 3 unique roofs. One that I just outlined, 2 that's going to go here, and the third one that's going to go here. And by creating these 3 roofs, I'm going to be able to draw a line exactly where these roofs should join. And that way, basically, I'm telling Revit where the peaks and where the 2 roofs join. Now, I'm not sure why Revit can't do this math, but for some reason it can't. So I'm going to delete this whole right side of my roof, and I am now going to draw one additional line on what's left. And I'm going to go from the exterior corner of a wall to exterior corner of a wall. Make sure I get an endpoint snap. Up there it is. Okay. And close up my sketch with trimming. And when I do that, then I'm going to accept this as a green check, and I get a roof. And I'm going to answer no, I do not want to attach walls, and don't bother showing that to me again. Don't attach. And I think the textbook points out, hey, this is a really silly looking roof, and it's right, it is. And that's just a view range issue. So if I really want to see my roof, I'm personally am going to want to go look at this in 3D. Looks great, I'm happy with it. Let's create roof number 2. Back to level 3, roof by footprint, and I'm going to select my walls again, define slopes with a 1-foot overhang. I'll get wall 1, wall 2, and now I'm going to draw lines with no slope. And again, I want endpoint of the exterior of a wall and endpoint of an exterior of a wall. There it is. Okay, it's the exact same line that I ended roof number 1 with. And now I'll trim these to a corner, and I have that section ready. I'm going to draw one more line, come back. Oh, sorry, I cheated a little bit. One more line, exterior of wall to exterior corner of wall. Gotta find that endpoint. I keep getting this parallel, desire for a parallel snap. There we go, hit tab and I got my endpoint right away. All right, so close this by trimming. And I have then cleaned up my sketch. Two walls define a slope and two walls don't. Green check, and kind of silly looking roof, but I can see that these lines where the roofs meet line up. I go to 3D, and what's important is that my roofs match and the area where the peak is matches, right? There's no disconnect on that peak. So I'm now going to draw the third section back to level 3, roof by footprint. Select my walls. I want a slope. Pick wall 1, pick wall 2, turn my slope off and draw two lines, and come down, get a vertical line on the exterior of that wall. And I really should just be able to choose the endpoints of that roof. It should be the exact same thing as the endpoints of walls. And now I'll clean up my sketch with trimming. And I now have an correctly enclosed sketch. Green check. Roof, the lines look like they match. And so at this point, what we should see is where the peak comes together, that it is one continuous line. It's not as if peak A comes here and comes back over and peak B goes back there. If you're seeing a discontinuity, there's a high probability that you don't have equidistant walls. Okay, so if I rotate down and look underneath here, I'm not convinced that these walls come up to the roof. Kind of looks like they do, actually. So I'm going to try attach to roof. Seems like something happened. So I'll select my other 5 walls and attach them. Oh yeah, that's not going to work so well. I've got 3 different roofs. So wall, attach to roof, wall, attach to roof. Can't keep wall and target joined. Wall, attach to roof. Huh. Okay, I'll accept it. Attach to roof. I think these walls may already be up to the roof and do not need to be extended. And so I'll try this last one. Yeah, same thing. And I don't think I tried this one actually. Same thing. Okay, so everything's already up and attached to the roof. All right, I'm going to close this section, and we are then going to come back into the next section, and we're going to modify this center roof to add a dormer right here. Okay, so you can see, the textbook, of course, created this corridor specifically to teach us that complicated roofs may need some modeling responsibility on our end instead of just relying on the math of the software. And those are those workarounds. So the question is, if Revit won't let me do something, what workaround or what other tools can I use to achieve what I'm looking for? And this is a classic example of that. Hope this is adding some clarity and is helpful, and we'll see you in the next section.